formidable robot.
Hey, I'm a 14-year-old kid using this platform to warn people to not get games ported from consoles or any bootleg cartridges you find in trash bins. This is my experience with the game that haunted my childhood. It was a rainy day like any other, just playing on my NES. I was only 4, and I couldn't afford the Wii, GameCube, hell, even the Game Boy. The only thing I could afford was a cheap NES console with surprisingly a lot of packaged along with it. I had a blast playing on it as a young lad, and there was a lot of functioning NES ports of games, including Kirby Nightmare in Dream, Pac-Man, Frogger, Pong, and even Crash Bandicoot. There was only one that was not recommended to me by my parents. Super Mario World. Why? I have no clue. I certainly do now though. One night, I woke up and complained to my dad about it. He recommended that I'd stay awake with him, since he was having sleeping troubles as well. We played a bunch of games together between 2 to 3 a.m., and we were having a good time. Then he recommended I'd play Super Mario World. I questioned why because he earlier told me not to play it, but he was interested of what the game had to offer. It'll be like getting a copyright strike on my channel for no reason. I put in the game and saw that it was mostly the same from the original game. Just with more bit-crushed assets and more simple color schemes. The only difference is that Mario had assets from Mario 3, except his hat and shirt were green like Luigi's, and the game was just platforming and walking to the right. The game was very buggy, with most assets being jumbled before it even loads. The game's music was not even there, just silence. I just beatboxed as the replacement, which my dad enjoyed. Then we saw it. This thing just appeared from a random block, it just stood there, staring, watching. The thing looked like a skeletal version of Yoshi, and something was riding it. It looked like Mario, but more darkened with his red color scheme. I was terrified, and my dad was infuriated. But this thing, it stared at us. Let me repeat that, it fucking stared at us. This terrifying thing was staring us down, into our souls, and that thing started to approach Mario. The game broke, and the last thing we saw before the NES turned off by itself. We ended up telling my mom about the thing we saw. She was horrified about what we said. I was traumatized, still shooken up by the mere mention of it. We managed to go to the place where we got the NES with the game packed along with it. They immediately went silent by the mention of the damn thing. Some of the employees even got on their knees and started to cry intensely, and even cashier gal left the store to what I could assume, to mentality recollect herself. The manager came in, with his skin looking so pale, and I could have sworn that he was dead right on the spot. He had a horrified expression, mixed with a bit of anger. He told us within his office, and what I heard made me shiver and shit bricks in pure utter anguish and fear.
It was some sort of cold winter we were in before we settled in this nice town. What you played wasn't normal, kiddo. That game belonged to my dad, Jackson Winter. He was a sweet guy, and I'll tell you that, he was really caring of me since I was the youngest child in my family. The NES was the thing he loved, more than anyone except, well you know. Pops unfortunately passed due to a loose wire in the TV, and somehow his soul is trapped? I have no idea. What you saw might be him. I have seen him before, he isn't a normal spirit. He's vengeful. Be very wary.
Those words made me cry, and my mom and dad were terrified, knowing that they could have a literal ghost in the NES. The only thing we needed to do was to pray for Jack to disappear. I genuinely wanted Jack to go away, so I can play the game without him being around. But unfortunately it didn't work. We had to throw away the NES. It was the only way to get rid of Jack. We were devastated that our only entertainment device was thrown away, due to a ghost-like abomination hiding in a Nintendo console. I genuinely felt bad for Dad and Mom due to this, and I still do. So I came back to the NES, dusty, but still working. I managed to play the game, and then was greeted with David. Who the hell is David? He's not even in this story until then. Jack was standing there, with the hills in flames. Mario, Luigi and Peach standing there, with the same color scheme as David. However, they were bloodied, injured, and more detailed than the NES was prepared for. The music was there, but it was only nothing but chants, screams, and an ominous piano. Jack then appeared closer to the screen and was cackling. This isn't Jack. This isn't a human. This is something else. It then tried to lunge for the screen, and successfully did that. What I saw I'll never ever forget. It was a skeletal horseman, with a flaming horse and a red flaming hat, with bleeding flaming eyes,